Welcome to Haxby Shed. Quite some time ago now, I made a series of videos where I was checking the accuracy of my HS142 lathe bed. And I used a very accurate level to see if I thought the bed was twisted. And also, I turned this bar between centres on the shiny part here, and I got a variation of about 2 thou. I should be able to get it better than that, but for just about every job that I'll ever do, that will be accurate enough. But someday I'll get caught out where I need to turn more accurately than that and wish that I'd put it right. So I was watching Paul, the shed dweller, and he's doing some work on the bed of a South Bend lathe that he's renovating, and he's given me a couple of ideas. Now I'm only going to check and recheck this really. I'm not going to make it too long because I only have a certain level of appetite for checking and rechecking lathe beds. But it's worth a look and I thought I'd share it with you. When I was checking to see if my lathe bed is twisted or not, I used the top of these V-ways here as an accurate reference. People have asked me, are they machined? Well, they are machined. Can I be certain that they're machined the same? Well, I can't exactly. But when I was watching Paul, the shed dweller's channel, he was using this section here like an oil way. On his South Bend lathe, they're actually covered and protected. Mine aren't. There's possibly a dink or two in them, to be honest. But using a couple of parallels here in these two channels, as long as I'm happy that everything's sitting okay, it's a pretty good and accurate measure of the angle of the bed. Now, the bed is tilted like this and the bed's tilted like this because I've set it so that the coolant fluid runs down to the drain. So I've sat my RSK level on here and adjusted the Allen screw here so that the bubble's in the centre. We don't need this to be absolutely, perpendicular to the centre of the earth. It's not necessary. What we're checking is the deviation one end against another. So I did have the bubble in the middle there. It's not now. Honestly, you only have to move this Allen key just the smallest fraction for this bubble to shift across, because the accuracy of this level is 0.02 millimeters per meter. I can't remember what that is in imperial, but I'll put that on the screen. But it's exceedingly accurate. It takes maybe 10 or 15 minutes really to get this bubble settled in the middle. After a lot of care, adjusting this, the bubble is in the middle. That old Mercer DTI base has come in handy again. It's very heavy and solid. Right, now we're on the tailstock end, and having settled that down, that bubble is just there. And it just confirms the finding that I had before when I'd measured off the tops of these ways, these V-ways here, and that is that the bed is not twisted. And I claimed last time that the stand on these are so strong and rigid you can level it on the four corners any way you like and the bed won't twist. Now obviously there's a limit to that, isn't there? But I'm as satisfied as I can be that this bed is not twisted. However, there is a test that I know it's going to fail, and it came in a comment. I'll tell you in a second. Hopefully you can see that bubble now. And here's the bubble at the headstock end again. The difference is so small, to me, it's near as to make no difference. It wasn't just Paul the shed dweller that got me looking at this again, actually. What sometimes happens is you're getting lots of comments on a video and it's all, yeah, that's fine, yeah, this is what I did. And then somebody drops in a killer comment. And quite often those killer comments are perfectly innocent, but they make you stop and think. Now somebody said, I've done these checks on my lathe bed, but what I've also done is I've put the level on here. And I can move the saddle along and look at the change in angle. And that's an indication of the amount of wear or whatever. Now, a few months ago I did that, and at the time I got some rather concerning results. But they are quite a good measure of what the tool's actually doing. So I'm going to take this top slide off and repeat those tests and see what I find. Now, I don't expect this reading to be the same. There's no reason for it. What we're looking for is change in angle as I go along the bed. So we'll take these parallels off. I know it's going to be thrown out by this block. I did even wonder if this was the right block for this bed. I know it pulls the carriage off slightly over at this end here. And I can't work very close to the chuck or very close to this nose here without this pulling the tool offline a bit and getting a taper at this end. But the blocks don't come with a serial number, so you can imagine this being a lathe in a college. Teacher says, right, we're going to do big faceplate work today, everybody take your block out. They get mixed up, wrong one goes in. It's very close, but I'm not certain it's the right one really. We'll never know. So I've moved the saddle to just the start of the bed block, and we'll keep it on the main part of the bed, and I'll set it with a bubble in the centre now. I'll come back in about 10 minutes when I've got this right. Apologies if the camera wiggles a bit. I'll pop a photo in so you can see how I've got this set up, but it's only on a DTI stand. Now we're at our starting position, and I'm going to move along 100 millimeters at a time, or 4 inches if you prefer. And you'll see that this bubble runs off to the right. So at 4 inches, 100, a little bit of change. 8 inches, 200. Now it's racing off quite a way to the right now. And then, as you can imagine, if I go 300, I can only get to 350. So there's 300, it's right off the right hand side. So what I'm going to do is put a feeler gauge underneath the level on the left hand side and see what it takes to level it. But it's very curious because we know the bed itself isn't twisted. So one presumes that this is wear on the bearing surfaces on the bed where the saddle runs. But we'll have to just investigate a bit more. So here we are again closest to the headstock, and I've got that bubble absolutely between those two tall lines. I'll take it to the far end, add the feeler gauges and see what I need to level it. That's actually at 350 now, that's as far as I can take it. And my imperial feeler gauges are broken really. So I'm going to use metric feeler gauges, and I'm going to take a guess at 0.06 millimeters, which is about 2.4 thou. And I'll slip this in under this side. I'll try and do it on camera. Oops, it's stuck on the oil, that's the problem there. I don't know if this is going to be watchable, but we'll try. Well, it's a bit more than that, isn't it? It's a fraction more than 2.4 thou. I think we could settle for 2.5 thou. If I take this one out, which is 2.4 thou, and I put in a 3 thou gauge, which is my smallest, thinnest imperial feeler gauge that isn't sort of, broken. So there's 3 thou. And that's too much by far. So I think we can say the error is 2.5 thou. Well, I've tried pushing on this saddle up here, I've tried twisting it, I've tried lifting it from this back side here. None of it makes any difference, so it's correctly clamped up. And I can only conclude that this is happening because there's just wear on this V-way here. And short of regrinding the bed, I can't imagine what I could do about it. If you've got an idea, do let me know. I suppose what I could do is I could twist the bed to take this out, But I don't think that would be good practice, would it really? Well, I hope that was useful. I hope your lathe is better than mine. Thank you for watching. Hacks be shared. We called in at Castle Howard. This was the place that Brideshead Revisited was filmed, if you know that movie. Or it used to be a TV series a long time ago in the UK. You have to stand a mile back really to get this picture. That wing over there, the right hand side there, it's actually just a shell because of a fire that was burnt out inside. There are no floors in it actually, but it does have a roof. I think I'm going to get pecked in a minute. What are you looking for?